Coca-Cola and Pepsi. When you hear those names, you probably think of a classic cat and dog rivalry, right? But the reality is much more complex. Let me take you through the story of these two giants. There are remnants of war, investor influence, magazine models, and even a huge dose of diplomacy involved. In 1886, Atlanta, a war veteran and pharmacist, Dr. John Pemberton, was trying to create a remedy for headaches and fatigue. He added coca leaf extract and cola nuts, sweetened it with caramelized sugar, and thus Coca-Cola was born. On its first day, only 9 cups were sold, but the foundation for a future empire had been laid. Meanwhile, as Coca-Cola grew, Caleb Bradham in North Carolina created his own drink in 1893. 5 years later, he named it Pepsi-Cola. But Pepsi couldn't grow as fast as Coca-Cola. It remained a small brand, appealing to a loyal but limited audience. During World War I, it suffered serious setbacks and almost went bankrupt, only to rise again. By the 1930s, Coca-Cola had become nearly a national symbol, while Pepsi remained a smaller brand. But fate directed them onto the same stage, competing for dominance of the American beverage market. During World War II, Coca-Cola was no longer just a medicinal drink, it became a symbol of American lifestyle. When the U.S. entered the war in 1941, soldiers everywhere were guaranteed a Coca-Cola for just 5 cents. It was more than a drink, it was a piece of home, boosting morale. Coca-Cola expanded into 64 countries. Pepsi, meanwhile, aimed for a younger, more innovative approach. In 1959, a historic moment happened. At a U.S. national exhibition in Moscow, the Soviet leader was offered a Pepsi. Pepsi now had a presence in the East, not just the West. In the 1970s, television became a staple in homes. Pepsi launched the Pepsi Challenge, blind taste tests, where people often preferred Pepsi. In 1984, Michael Jackson's commercials captured the hearts of young audiences. Coca-Cola, on the other hand, maintained its classic, family-friendly image. In 1985, Coca-Cola introduced New Coke, a new formula, but the backlash was so strong that within 79 days, the original formula returned. This wasn't just about taste, it was about loyalty and emotion. After the 1980s, the battlefield shifted to finance. Coca-Cola and Pepsi's largest shareholders were often the same institutions, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. While they appeared as rivals on the surface, behind the scenes, the same investors were profiting from both. By the 2010s, these two giants operated in over 200 countries. In some regions, Coca-Cola dominated, in others, Pepsi had the upper hand. India, China, Africa. On the surface, competition continued, but in practice, the market was quietly divided, and consumers still felt the rivalry thanks to clever perception management. Today, we live in a world beyond just sodas, sugar-free drinks, energy drinks, coffee-based products, Coca-Cola Zero, Costa Coffee, Pepsi's Rockstar, Tropicana. The rivalry seems ongoing, but behind the scenes, the real winner is always the investor. Yet consumers continue to think the battle is fierce and personal. As you can see, these two companies aren't just rivals. They've built a global game of competition and cooperation that continues today. So who will come out on top in the years ahead? Taste, brand perception, or the investors? Perhaps the winner is always somewhere in the middle. Share your thoughts in the comments. Take care, and see you next time.